With so many options, why choose Arizona State University?
For me, the only online option was ASU because of the quality. Their faculty was really involved with their students and care about your personal journey. The dedication to my personal development from my professors, that's been extremely valuable to me.
Earn your degree from the nation's most innovative university. Online. That's a degree better. Explore more than 350 plus undergraduate, graduate, and certificate programs at asuonline.asu.edu.
All right, joining me now is Leo Hohmann, senior producer of the Worldview Report and the purveyor of leohohmann.com and leohohmann.substack.com. Leo joins us tonight to talk about several things, but the most pressing issue at hand right now is what is going on with all the revelations about the deep state and their coup d'etat against President Trump in his first term, and Russia. What does Leo think this is really all about? Will it amount to anything? Is it a distraction? Is it multiple people with multiple agendas? You know, when people go to war, they don't all go to war for the same reason. This is one reason why the Islamists and the Marxists can unite together, take out shared enemies, accomplish certain things, and then they can deal with each other later. In politics, a lot of times people will join together. They never join together for the same cause, the same outcome, the same goal. Is this one of those situations where the objective of one is not the objective of another? I was wondering today on radio, and I was pretty insistent about it at 1 o'clock. Is this being done as a distraction, number one? Number two, is it being done to Tulsi Gabbard, as Trevor Loudon said last night? She's trying to save her job. President Trump got upset with her. Reportedly, he didn't like her video she made about nuclear war, and she's got to try to, get back in his good graces. And by taking on those people that were taking on him, that would, hey, look, when someone comes to your defense, they generally become someone you really like. Who doesn't like someone that comes to their defense? Is she doing this to save her job? Are there others that are happy about it because they want to now validate to more Americans that maybe thought a lot of this stuff was conspiracy? You knew it wasn't, I knew it wasn't, but now all of a sudden it's validated, and a lot of your family and friends are hearing it for the first time, or at least having it validated that the whole Russia collusion thing wasn't conspiracy, wasn't just Trump, making stuff up. There was really a coup d'etat. And now all of a sudden you realize this federal government is so corrupt. There's a two-tiered legal system out there. This is not right. We want justice. What if you get to the end of the Trump term and nothing's happened to these people? There is no justice. There was clear, gross violation of federal law, constitutional law, like maybe never seen in American history. I mean, it makes Watergate look like nothing. Nothing. And at the end of the Trump term, nothing's done. What does that do? I think it would demoralize many in the MAGA crowd. Add it to 2 or 3 other issues that never get justice. And the MAGA crowd ends being disenfranchised, demoralized, apathetic, passive, like, look, if President Trump couldn't get it done, no one can. It's hopeless. And a percentage of people will check out. We saw this after the 2020 election steal. People that had Trump flags, people that were involved in Trump parades with their trucks or their boats on lakes. When the election was stolen clearly from him, nothing was done about it. I personally know people said, I'm done, I'm out. They turned off Talk TV. They turned off programs like this. They stopped being involved because they said it's hopeless. It means nothing. They get me all revved up. They get me all involved, some for the first time. And then something so clearly evident as being a fraud happens and there's no justice. The game is rigged. I'm out. I know people for one side or the other, it doesn't matter. They checked out. I'm not saying it's right. Human nature. So what do you think a lot of them will do this time if nothing happens at the end of 3.5 remaining years? No justice. A lot of them are going to be disenfranchised. They're going to check out. They're done. Apathetic, passive, frustrated, bitter, angry, but they're out. The left wins. What if some of them become extremely angry, like to the point of a pressure cooker, like I said today, a pressure cooker. You need that pressure cooker like your mom or grandmother used to cook with. And that little top of that pressure cooker would rattle, right? The steam would be coming off. Maybe your mom used a pressure cooker on Sundays to cook a roast, or on Saturday nights before church, so it would then move into the crock pot while you're at church. And she started out with a pressure cooker. And my mom would have one, and that little steel thing would rattle and blow steam, letting off some of the steam there, right? You need that steam to come off. Whereas your pressure cooker, you got a mess, dangerous. If there's no releasing of this pressure that's being built up right now by this administration and their DNI, and all these people in the intelligence community confirming these facts of coup d'etat, treason at the highest levels. And people are now saying, you see, even a former Democrat, Tulsi Gabbard, saying it. And then nothing happened. Some of those people, there's no pressure. They've built the pressure up. There's been no release valve through justice. And those people are some of them are going to do things maybe they shouldn't do. Get involved in things maybe they shouldn't get involved in. Chaos. Now on the right. I don't want to see chaos on the left, the middle, or the right. I don't want to see anybody. I don't want to go to civil war. If we do anything, I would like to see a civil secession, civilly seceding from the Union. Let us, Tennessee, Arkansas, others say, bye-bye, we're out. I don't know if that'll happen, but I don't want a civil war. But we know our enemies would love to see chaos in this country, to give people no hope. When you start throwing red meat like this out of the Oval Office or out of the White House press briefing room, if that's what they're doing, intentionally or not, and if nothing gets done in 3.5 years that are remaining in this Trump administration, you're going to have different reactions from different groups. And this is very concerning. So I'm asking, what's the goal? What's the objective? Who's doing this? Remember, not everybody does the same thing for the same reason. Some people have good motives. Others, no. But ask yourself, you really think you're ever going to see Barack Obama perk walk? James Comey? Clapper? Let's see what Leo Hohmann thinks. LeoHohmann.com, LeoHohmann.substack.com. Leo, the floor is yours. Respond to my monologue.
Yeah, I think you're 100% on the right track, Brandon. When it first came down, my first thought was it's a big distraction, and I still think that's a big part of it. Because you look at the timing, and I think from President Trump's perspective, it's a good distraction. Mm-hmm. But there are other perspectives involved here. But just from President Trump alone, the timing was perfect because he was coming under intense fire. You had the pollster on your show, Mark, what's his name?
Mark Mitchell.
Mark Mitchell, a week or so ago, confirming what we thought, that this Epstein thing was really beating Trump up. His popularity was falling precipitously in the Rasmussen poll, which is, I think, the most reliable poll. And then we come out with Tulsi Gabbard and all of this.
And by the way, his polling is now going back up.
Yes, exactly.
With
so
Rasmussen. Rasmussen is showing
it's working as his perfect distraction at the perfect time that he needed it. Okay. So I can understand it, why he would want to pursue it. When I saw his video that he released a couple days ago, to me, that was affirmation that he is not thinking that this is seriously going to happen, that, that Barack Obama is going to be frog marched into prison arrested and put on trial for treason. I don't think Trump believes that's going to happen.
For those who don't know, you're talking about this video that Trump put on Truth Social. He retruth. Sorry, guys, I'll pull that down.
Yeah. There you go.
Okay, so that's the one. He retruthed that one. President Trump did.
Okay.
Remember that?
Well, to
that's
me,
what you're referring to, right?
That is exactly the one I'm referring to. And to me, if you seriously thought that that was going to happen, you would not make light of it, okay? You wouldn't make a funny video like that. You would be probably very quiet about it because, you know, why steal anyone's thunder or give away your game plan to the alleged criminal?
Not only
Barack
that, if your DOJ is investigating this, you really have to keep your mouth quiet, and you can't really be saying anything and let the investigation roll forward.
Exactly. So I don't take it seriously because I don't think Trump's taking it seriously.
But yet, if I could stop you right there, for those who haven't seen it, but yet, this happened today, and it sure looked awfully sober. Watch this.
At President Trump's direction and with the support and coordination with the House Intelligence Committee Chairman Rick Crawford, today we've released a declassified Oversight Majority Staff report that was produced in September of 2020. The stunning revelations that we are releasing today should be of concern to every American. This is not about Democrats or Republicans. This has to do with the integrity of our democratic republic and American voters having faith that the votes cast will count. There is irrefutable evidence that detail how President Obama and his national security team directed the creation of an intelligence community assessment that they knew was false. They knew it would promote this contrived narrative that Russia interfered in the 2016 election to help President Trump win, selling it to the American people as though it were true. It wasn't. The report that we released today shows in great detail how they carried this out. They manufactured findings from shoddy sources. They suppressed evidence and credible intelligence that disproved their false claims. They disobeyed traditional tradecraft intelligence community standards and withheld the truth from the American people. In doing so, they conspired to subvert the will of the American people who elected Donald Trump in that election in November of 2016. They worked with their partners in the media to promote this lie, ultimately to undermine the legitimacy of President Trump and launching what would be a years-long coup against him and his administration. We're here today because the American people deserve the truth, they deserve accountability, and they deserve justice.
And she's got the whole backdrop and who did this and flow chart and everything.
What does that remind you of, Brandon? I mean, if you just flip the faces there and put a Biden person there, basically it's the exact same narrative that we heard from the Biden regime when they said that Donald Trump was, undermining our democracy. Now you've got Tulsi Gabbard with President Trump in office saying that it was actually the Democrats and Barack Obama who undermined our democracy. So what you have is the globalists, I think, pulling strings on both sides of the aisle to foment this tension where both sides no longer have any trust whatsoever in our government.
Yeah.
And at some point are going to be willing to go to war with each other. At least that is the hope of the globalists. At the same time, they're trying to drive us towards World War III on the international stage, Brandon. They're seeking to drive us to civil war here at home. That would be their absolute best case scenario to take down America, where you have got a two-front war abroad and at home. I think at the same time inviting economic collapse, by the way. Now you're talking about the world's most biggest and most feared superpower being taken down. In my opinion, that would take down any superpower.
And that's exactly what I said on radio today was, what if this is the Hegelian dialectic? Something. And
I didn't even hear your broadcast. No, so we're on the same wavelength.
Because, I talk all the time about the Hegelian dialectic, because thesis and antithesis, idea, opposite idea, get them to conflict, left versus right, Christianity versus Islam. Christianity versus communism, whatever it is, right? Get them to fight. And either you get the two to merge, like communism and Christianity merge for what I call Marxianity, social justice, open borders, the feminization of Christianity through Marxist cultural Marxism, or merge Christianity with Islam. You don't want to be seen as an Islamophobic individual, do you? So do interfaith dialogue. Oh, we all worship the same God, the Yale document, lie. And now you got Chrislam. But you did this by having a conflict, which caused some people to say, but I don't want the conflict. I don't want this cognitive dissonance. So we'll merge, right? But sometimes what you want is not a merging. Sometimes what you want is a fighting of the two, the left and the right, so that you can destroy the foundations of America, as you say, our institutions, and trust in our institutions. And only by doing that will the left and the right all finally agree. We're tired of fighting around the Christmas table. We're tired of fighting around the Thanksgiving table. I got to live in a neighborhood with these people, tired of this. We're all tired of it. At the end of the day, we've all lost trust. Maybe we go to a third option. So the goal isn't so much a merging at this point on this scenario. It's a dialectic, because as Saul Alinsky said, the change comes from the conflict. Or as George McGregor Burns, I quote him all the time, said in his 1984 book, The Power to Lead, a globalist. The only way we're going to get the people to go where we want them to go is under a stupendous political and economic crisis. So now you create such a distrust in the government and its institutions that people are willing to go, and I said on the radio today, Leo, and I don't think I told you this, they're saying, phooey on all this. Let's start over and let's accept the idea of a North American Union. Let's be done with all of them out of Washington. Go to a North American Union, a parliament. And whoever wins the election runs the government in its totality or whatever. Or maybe the option is phooey on all of them. Our politicians are bought and paid for by special interests. Some of them have been caught doing things, i.e. Epstein files, with kids they shouldn't be doing, and they're controlled. Hey, you know what? Maybe it's time to turn it all over to AI. Maybe it's time to turn it all over to AI and let AI make the rules. Let AI be the judges. Let AI write the legislation so that it is not right versus left. It can just all be uniformed and everybody knows what the rules are. I don't know what the third option is, but many people can benefit from what she did today. While people are cheering it, I'm thinking to myself, if it's too good to be true, it probably is.
Usually is, yeah.
So you have to ask yourself, are you being played? What is the goal? What is the outcome? And remember, in a battle, and all politics is a war, in any war, people go to war and do things in war for different reasons and outcomes. Right? So what do you think? What do you think is the goal? Is it to get the right to be demoralized and sit it out after 3.5 years? Nothing happens in the next 3.5 years. At the end, they're done. They're out. The left wins. The globalists win. Is it to cause some of the people on the right to go nuts and do things they shouldn't do? Is it to cause the people on the left keep doing things with immigration? Not that I disagree with it, but keep doing things that ignite the left and then ignite the right, ignite the left, ignite the right. And pretty soon you got yourself a civil war. Because I'm watching, for instance, the alligator Alcatraz, right? Down there in Florida. And I'm looking at that and I'm thinking, I don't care if they throw a bunch of MS-13 gang members or whatever in there. I could care less. They shouldn't be here. Raping, looting, throw them in there. And then I hear from some people, it's out there that the toilets don't flush, they can't make phone calls, out of there, the different things aren't working. And I'm thinking to myself, okay, is that going to be for hardened criminals, MS-13, Tren de Araguas people? Or are we going to be throwing people in there that lived here for 5-10 years that cleans your houses? Well, I'm like, wait a minute, maybe they need to go back, but I'm not so sure I'm for, treating them that way. Okay, is there a way just to get them on an airplane and send them out of here, being humane? I don't want to see dehumanization of people because our culture has enough of that. And when we become comfortable with dehumanization, and listen to me, you Christians, listen to me, MAGA. When the culture becomes comfortable on both sides of the aisle with dehumanization, you're only setting up yourself. Because when they come after us, nobody's going to say anything because they have been conditioned to dehumanize the opposition. So we can't dehumanize the opposition. We can't dehumanize people. We're better than that. Even if they are MS-13 or Tren de Aragua, whatever, we have to have humanity and civil rights, or we fall into being as bad as they are. No, and I see these things being built, and they're being thrown up awfully fast. I think to myself, is that being done to incite the left? So every day, Leo, I'm watching something that incites the left, incites the right, incites the left, incites the right. I'm like, you know what? I'm not playing this game because somebody is convincing some people to do these things. Now, the people being convinced to do them may be doing them for good reasons. Yeah, these are hardened criminals that are raping our young people, raping our children, our spouses, or our daughters at college, like happened to that poor gal down in Georgia where you live. And we need to deal with these hardened criminals and then get them out of here. Throw them in those chain link fence cages down there and get them out of here. Okay. Some people may be doing these things for good reasons. They're, again, being led down a path. I want to know who's pulling the strings to keep this left, right every day, something that incites the left, incites the right. What's the objective? And is it true, Leo, that you wrote an article that that someone is calling for building these camps in every state? Is that true?
I did not write an article on that, but I did read something about it, that there was some discussion. Actually, it was a comment by President Trump that he think, I don't want to put words in his mouth and I don't remember the direct quote, but just to paraphrase, he said something to the effect of, I think we should build these in many states, that there are many states that could have these type of facilities like we see down in Florida, where, it's like open air prisons, mosquitoes are swarming and the inmates are treated very poorly. Maybe the Guantanamo prisoners are treated even better, I would think, than some of the ones in this facility. But you're exactly right. I'm so glad that you used that term, dehumanization. That's why I kind of cringe whenever I hear, a politician or a media pundit use the term animals. Oh, they're just animals, and when they're talking about criminals. Yes, criminals are bad people. Yes, most of them are completely devoid of any moral compass. They need Jesus. They're unsaved, but they are human. And as long as you have a breath in your body left, according to the Bible, you can change. You can accept Jesus as your Savior and make him the Lord of your life, as long as you are a living human, breathing human. And so to call them animals, or in some cases you hear people say they're worse than animals, well, then you can do anything to that person. And that includes, waterboarding. It includes torture, like we see in many other countries. George W. Bush sent people to other countries to be tortured. I was not in favor of that. No. Because it's a form of dehumanization. And as you pointed out, Brandon, that's a slippery slope.
That's a double-edged sword, is what that is.
Yes.
Kind of like the former pastor in Germany. I wasn't a socialist, so I didn't speak up. I wasn't a trade unionist, I didn't speak up. I wasn't a Jew, so I didn't speak up. And when they came for me, there was no one left to speak up.
That was Martin Niemauer.
That's right. Niemöller. We'll be right back after this break. Don't go away.
News is moving faster than ever, and so are we. Worldview Tube brings you 24/7 live stream coverage and now real-time alerts when it matters most. Once you have the Worldview Tube app installed, exit the app and navigate your way to Settings. In Settings, locate the tab labeled Notifications. Select the Notifications tab. Scroll down until you locate the Worldview Tube app icon. Select the tab, and here you can turn on and customize your notification experience for the Worldview Tube app. News doesn't wait. and neither should you. Turn on push notifications to stay informed. Every headline as it happens.
You woke up with a sore throat and a low-grade fever. You know you are getting sick, so here's your choices. You can get sicker and miss work. Try to see a doctor this week or sit hours in a crowded waiting room at urgent care.
I have a smarter option for you. Open your medical emergency kit. Match your symptoms to doctor-recommended prescription in your booklet and take the right meds now and get well faster.
This is not a first aid kit. It's like having an urgent care in your home. It includes doctor-prescribed medications to treat over 39 medical issues like respiratory infections, strep throat, pneumonia, UTIs, and more.
No waiting to see the doctor and no standing in line at the pharmacy. It's right here.
Every home should have at least one medical emergency kit, and here's how to order.
Go to worldviewhealthcare.com. Your kit to treat dozens of common and serious illnesses is rushed to your door. worldviewhealthcare.com. That's worldviewhealthcare.com.
The emergency kit available at worldviewhealthcare.com. Make sure you don't have to go to urgent care. I got pneumonia. I didn't have to go. I took this last year. Stayed at home, went to bed. All right, welcome back, WorldviewTube, worldviewtube.com/sponsors to check out all our sponsors that help us keep the program and the network going. worldviewtube.com/sponsors. Hey, we're adding a new channel. We have worldviewtube.com/prophecy, worldviewtube.com/history. It's our history channel. Oh, by the way, the Robert E. Lee documentary should be done for this Friday. Amazing. Amazing. We even got Logan even got Robert E. Lee and Andrew Jackson in the dining room at Arlington House visiting. We got an AI of that. Looks so real life. So that should be out. That's, that kind of thing is going to be airing on our history channel, which is up, worldviewtube.com/history, worldviewtube.com/prophecy. That's Bible prophecy. worldviewtube.com/health. That's home and health programming. And today we launched worldviewtube.com/Bible, 24-hour Bible teaching. worldviewtube.com/Bible. What's that make now? 5 channels we're running? And we're shoving it all out for free. We need your support. worldviewtube.com/sponsors, worldviewtube.com/sponsors, and worldviewtube.com/ and then worldviewfoundation.com, worldviewfoundation.com. All right? All right. Joining me again is Leo Holman of leoholman.com, leoholman.substack.com. All right. Leo, look at this headline real quick. This is from the Telegraph. No, the Express. The Express. Fears Russia preparing for large-scale war as huge mobilization gets a go-ahead. Martin Armstrong's warning that NATO is going to go to war with Russia, that they're collapsing financially. They're in Europe, and they got no choice but to go to war as a major distraction and draft people. What do you say, Leo?
I agree with that analysis. I think all wars start on the economic level, Brandon, usually involving control over resources, natural resources. And Russia is not only the largest country in the world in terms of landmass, but it's also the richest country in the world in terms of natural resources. They have oil, gas, uranium, gold, all sorts of natural resources that are, as we've seen, are becoming more valuable in the modern era of cryptocurrencies and digital currencies and AI, and all of this stuff requires rare earth minerals. It requires backing for your digital currency. And all of the countries in the world, East and West, are sort of maneuvering right now to see which side they want to go. Do they want to go with the West, or do they want to go with the Russia, China, Iran, North Korea axis? And India, I think, is a huge player in all of this. If they decide to go with the Russia, China, now we definitely have a situation where the West, I think, is going to be on the outside looking in terms of who's controlling the most resources. And Europe is the continent that is the most resource poor of all of them, okay? Which most people wouldn't realize because it's such a wealthy country. Over the years, some of the world's most wealthy corporations have been in Western Europe. But all of that is coming to an end in the modern digital era, in this great reset, as they like to call it. They don't have the resources. Russia does, and they're right. Russia, their neighbor, right there next to Western Europe, has all of these vast resources. And I think the Western Europeans are looking, sideways over at their neighbor and saying, we'd like to have some of that. And so the plan is to defeat Russia in a world war and break it up into several countries and install Western puppet regimes, do regime change. That's what this is all about, a regime change. And if possible, defeat them militarily and break them up, balkanize them, and steal their resources. That's what is driving Europe. That is the reason that the Western Europeans, with a few exceptions, are just they're just seething and foaming at the mouth right now. They're so excited about going to war with Russia. I know it sounds insane, and like I said, there are a few notable exceptions, but the major countries of Western Europe, the UK, Germany, and France, are eager right now to get it on with Russia. Now they might need that. They're trying to drag this out with Ukraine using Ukraine as a proxy, so that they can get their military-industrial complex built up to speed, because they know that as much as they would like to go to war with Russia right now, that would be a non-winnable situation. For one fact, they cannot keep up with Russia in terms of producing munitions. Russia is outproducing the West right now in the Ukraine war 3-1. Okay, for every missile or shell produced by the West, Russia's producing 3. Some say it could be as much as 4-1. So they need another year, possibly 2, to drag this out with Ukraine as the proxy before they go in and send troops to go against Russia. But that's what this is about. And I think World War III at this point, barring some sort of unforeseen miraculous development, it's a foregone conclusion, Brandon. We're going to World War III. It's just a matter of when. I think it'll be at least a year, maybe 2 years from now before we see it really kick off in earnest. But I don't expect any permanent ceasefire in Ukraine. I think that's going to continue simmering, because they need that to keep simmering to use as the trigger point when they're ready for all-out World War III.
LeoHolman.com, LeoHolman.substack.com. Check him out, follow him. Got great stuff over there. Senior producer also of the Worldview Report. Leo, thank you as always.
Thank you, Brandon.